Hello there. Productivity, happiness, time management, physical and mental health. There are so many things you can improve in this area of your life. It's overwhelming. This journey seems to never end, and in my opinion, it's the coolest part about self-improvement. There's always room for growth. There's always a bigger fish. And if you achieve something, there will be so many great things left. Let me explain why it's tremendously important for your sleep. With these small changes, you can optimize the most important environmental cue for your circadian rhythm. And even if you don't remember waking up at night, doesn't mean your sleep was untouched. But if you watch too many of such videos, it may feel like you're being spread thinner and thinner. Here is the thing, there are tons of awesome hobbies, but you can't do it all. So today, let's talk about basics. By basics I mean things you do every day. The things that probably have highest contribution towards your success. And definitely one of them is sleep. Yeah, those 8 or I don't know how much you sleep hours that you spend doing nothing. Just laying in your bed with your eyes closed, and when you wake up you don't even remember what was going on at the time. Maybe you still remember your dreams, but they don't take as much time. If you sleep for 8 hours, then you have around 16 hours of time you can spend being productive, right? Not really. You should take into account your meals, the amount of time you spend in the bathroom, breaks from your concentrated work, scrolling social media, talking to your friends and family. Basically, there isn't as much time left as you might think of when it comes to a day that is 24 hours long. Maybe this is when the thought of reducing your sleep time creeps into your head. But I believe you shouldn't let it mislead you. There are numerous consequences you may face even after one night's sleep deprivation. And if you regularly neglect the minimum amount of time you should spend sleeping, I have bad news for you as well. But come on, everybody knows it. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm always surprised how bad I feel the next day after I sleep for 2 hours less than usual. Some people have been doing it for years, at least they say so. So what are the tricks and tips on how to improve your sleep I want to talk about today? Let's not waste our time. Let's get right into the topic. Sunlight exposure. Let me explain why it's tremendously important for your sleep. Let's talk about clocks. As you may know, it is thought that the accuracy of quartz clocks is around 20 seconds per month. Maybe slightly more or less, it depends on many factors. So, what do you do when you notice significant difference between your clock and your phone? You shift the time on your clock, of course. And actually there is kind of a clock thing in your body, it's called suprachiasmatic nuclei. Yep, let's hope I pronounced this word right in English. The cells in this nuclei generate rhythms with a period close to 24 hours, but not exactly 24. And in order to calibrate this clock, we gotta be exposed to some environmental cues. And the most significant one is light. 24-hour Earth axial rotation is a good thing to get adjusted by, right? So our eyes perceive that light, and then our body basically synchronizes with this information. And what happens if we don't see the light at the right time? The rhythm gets messed up. Shift work, for example. When you're changing from a day to a night shift, you dramatically change your light-dark rhythm, and your sleep-wake cycle gets confused. And unfortunately, shift workers account for higher incidence of accidents and injuries. Maybe you're a pilot and you change your time zone dramatically after your flight over the Atlantic Ocean, and you experience those unpleasant consequences jet lag usually causes. It's tough, and it shows how important light is. So the thing I propose is getting exposed to natural light as soon as you can after waking up. It may be a small walk or sitting on a bench next to a house, whatever works best for you and whatever you can stick to consistently. Don't be exposed to bright light too much later in the day. And if it's time for you to go to sleep, but there is still too much light in your room, don't shy away from using curtains. And if you can even purchase blackout curtains, which will block light much better. So it's pretty easy. If it's morning, you should watch the sunlight, or if time to go to sleep is close, you should avoid bright light. So, by these small changes, you can optimize the most important environmental cue for your circadian rhythm. By the way, obviously, we register light with our eyes. If you ever think of whether blind people experience problems with their circadian rhythm because they can't perceive light, yeah, according to this study, they do. Most blind people with no perception of light experience continuous circadian desynchrony, which has negative effect on their sleep and performance. Now let's get to another tip I also want to include in this video. First one, earplugs. Scientific evidence suggests that noise night significantly impairs sleep objectively and subjectively. And there are lots of things that can worsen your sleep. And even if you don't remember waking up at night, doesn't mean your sleep was untouched. Noise also can make your sleep shallower, which basically means that you reduce the amount of time you spend in slow wave sleep and rapid eye movement sleep. So what can we do with this trouble? First obvious thing, you can close the window and curtains, but if it still doesn't help, maybe it's time to try earplugs. Sounds like an overkill, but I think it's worth trying. There are studies which were conducted to try earplugs. Here is one of them. The participants were patients in critical care. They improved the subjective experience of sleep without interfering with care delivery, which is valuable. I was really hesitant to try earplugs, but they helped me several times when it was too noisy around me. Let's talk about sleep in general again. What you do consistently truly matters. Things you do every day are definitely worth paying your attention to. I believe right habits you stick to for long enough can absolutely transform your life. When you see a photo of a posing bodybuilder, why do you think he's so big? Because of overnight success? Or genetics which enable him to do nothing and have everything? Of course not. It's because he's sticking to his dieting and exercising habits, and probably takes steroids, of course. But even if he does use performance-enhancing drugs, he still trains regularly and his physique haven't appeared out of thin air. It's regular, focused work. And I personally feel like sleep makes me a superhuman. Sometimes when people around me complain about how drowsy and tired they are, I feel like I can run 6 miles and still be fresh. And if I skip a workout or eat some junk food, I don't experience as dramatic deterioration of my mood and performance as from sleep disruption for just one night. As my father said, sleep is the greatest reward. Can't agree more after all these years. Nothing feels better than falling asleep after a difficult day. And that's natural actually. Sleep is important for recovery after doing sports and it affects your cognitive performance as well. So let's sum up a little. When it comes to self-help, there are millions of things you can change. But sometimes it's better to start with fundamentals like sleep. Studies have shown that light plays a large role in resetting your inner clock. So without proper regular light exposure, your rhythm will get lost. So you can solve this problem by making sure that you expose yourself to light every morning and avoid bright light in the evening. And when it comes to noise, it's another common problem for people who live in big cities. So if you can't block noise with windows, doors and curtains, you can try earplugs, which are quite affordable. I truly hope this video is helpful. Subscribe if you want to see more, and definitely have a good day.